Oh yeah, it's always a good time. I'm I'm in a Roald Dahl book because I'm a movie. Of course, this has happened to many uh, of those books, some of which get multiple or movie adaptations, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Tree Habitat, all the, but uh, a few years ago, Netflix bought all the rights to most of the Roald Dahl all books being free to do whatever but they want. And their first bit of big animated project they decided to do with them is an adaptation of the Twits. It's now I do remember reading the book back in primary school. Oh, I haven't read it since then. But from what I remember, but 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 from the reminders I've had of the book, okay, it was definitely a really fun book. And the little fresh reminders I had of the actual story that plays in the book was one on that I it like. I kind know if I read it again recently, I'd probably enjoy it. Yeah, yeah. I may read it again at some point, but I'm not sure. Or, or that being said, it did surprise me that Netflix was giving this film little to no marketing attention whatsoever. I know they were saving all the big marketing for the animated film in your dreams, but this film literally had a trade a little under 2 weeks before its Netflix release in October. But and seeing how this is based on a Roald Dahl book, there is no excuse to give this film on the poor marketing they did. But even with the poor on marketing and they gave this film, I was definitely looking forward to it. And I've seen this film 3 times. The first time I thought it was pretty good. The second time I thought it was pretty decent. So the third time I thought it was pretty meh. Yeah, this is one of those films that has gone worse for me on every rewatch. It's not that it's a bad movie, and I definitely wouldn't say it's one of the worst films based on a Roald Dahl book. But it most certainly isn't one of its best, one of the best ones. And I'll start with the good because there is a lot of great things that this movie delivers. That being with the Twits themselves. Even though this is a that doesn't follow the actual story of the book, which I'll get into later, to the film stays true to the personalities of Mr. and Mrs. Twit. I do a fantastic job of making them seem like the most hateable people in the world that hate everything, including each other. But and when a Nietzsche Einstein it is instead of having them be together because of their love for purpose, it's their love to build a new theme park called Twitlandia, which actually does us help help for a bigger scale for an anime like this. So it's not to mention that these two have the best jokes of the film. I will say for the most part the humour is really good with a lot of funny jokes, but if you had to tell me where the best jokes came from in this feature, it would easily have to be from the Twits. It's their hateable personalities and the pranks they pull on when the other leaves the door was open, or some fantastic comedian with even that constantly got a laugh out of me. I also think the animation is really well done. While it doesn't fully do what leads to its potential, so it is still a great film. Looking film. Honestly, I'll say that this one looks ugly, and I'm meaning that as a compliment. It's one of those films that is built to look ugly and disgusting to match the personalities of its characters, to which I thought on to be a unique and creative idea. This is most noticeable in the designs of the Twits themselves, where they are a lot more messy and a lot more odd compared as the other people pulling Trite Rod. Uh, 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 Not to mention that they get really creative to everything in the Twit itself. I'll just say, even though we're not in that house very long, the scenes when we do visit the Twits in the house is really creative. I love the design of this fit in showing how messed up it looks and how it fits the personality of the Twits themselves. Not to mention that Twit in the back garden then does look fantastic, where it's supposed to show the state of terrible theme parks that are just rushed together with some of the most unsafe and dangerous rides you'd ever get. And I can definitely tell the animators were having a fun time putting it together. But also, so one thing this film does try to do is kind of be a musical. I say kind of, because the film only has 3 songs, and they literally drop the musical aspect halfway through the feature. So it is disappointing they decided to stop it being a musical, because the songs we did got were honestly pretty good. I'm not saying they're amazing numbers, but I say, and they're definitely not are some of the best songs you get in a movie this year. Yeah, but they are decent, and they do have a melody to them. I also like the 2 songs that the Twits themselves get, especially with We're Not Like Everyone Else and The Problem With You. The Lullaby was also a nice song, but the 2 songs where the Twits get to show other personalities were easily the times I was having been the most fun with the feature. And the film has a really good heart. I can definitely tell that the heart of the movie is in the right place, as well as living a great life. Essence of even in a hateful world, it's important to show compassion and empathy to make the world a better place, which does feel like a fitting lesson for these times. Even if it is something that's been done before, or so I've gone over for everything that's good about this movie, and believe me, there is a lot of good things about this film. However, there is a lot holding it back, and that's mainly with the story itself. I personally find that the film decided not to stay too faithful to the actual book, because it is one of those books that would be hard to turn into a feature-length feature. So the fact that they decided to create their own story just using the characters of Twist doesn't bother me. What does bother me is how the story has no idea what it wants to do with. So it's as if it wants to try its own road story Twist, but doesn't have enough confidence in all the elements it has. I already talked about the musical aspect and how they dropped it. But there's also a side I plot about out 2 cockroaches when the mom tries to narrate it to the son, and to be like the story's narrator. But that honestly comes and goes through many different moments in the future. to one of the orphan kids, Bubsy has a little sort. I sort of want hunting of that. Emily, especially we have the Mrs. Chance to be adopted, but that is quickly drops and quickly moves on to Beast's part of the story. Or wait, it's really noticeable that the story wasn't really well planned and just jumped from one moment to another. Also, this is one of those movies that drags on. There are many times where I felt like it could have ended, didn't at the moment, but it just kept going and going. Oh, and it did seem like it was going to end not long after the Twits. It became a marvelous hit. After their failed attack against the orphanage. But I know it decides to go. And the Twits find on their own plan and to get Bisha away from the orphanage and take the orphanage to it and so they can get the Muggle woman sent to the orphans. Then and after that, it seems like it's going to end with the kid it's managed to play a trick on the Twits and get them stuck upside down. But I'll get to that later because that's something I want to go into in all detail on. Also, really didn't care too much about the kid characters. Bisha and Bubsy are definitely cute and do have potential to be solid protagonists. Yes, but they don't have much personality other than Bisha being the protagonist. They don't. I want to see her parents once again and believe they still want her these aren't bad characters per se, but there were two I didn't really care about. The film also gives really little personalities to the other orphans. It's just quite disappointing because there's definitely a lot of potential for them. The same goes for the adult. That is a really interesting social commentary every the film. I'm trying to portray how some of the most desperate I will believe anything by corrupt leaders, no matter how false it is. And it definitely does seem like a subtle commentary that I would seem irrelevant until these times. But the film isn't really smart enough to do that. And with it not having much confidence in itself, it seems like a minor joke. That the film didn't have enough time to fully explain to its audience. And it's to me quite a disappointment. But Mr. Napkin was okay. A character as the exception as the soul of conscious and and on of the orphanage. But he's given little personality other than being the butt to most of the film and most jokes. There are also the Muggle one some backwards like interesting characters, but are mainly seen as the MacGuffins, especially with the Muggle ones being important also to the Twits plan. And I didn't hate any of the characters. I will say now that the voice acting is easily the strong act about them that I try to give them more personality. But they are definitely the type of characters that could have been better. So, okay, now let's get into the ending because Oh, that is the one thing that I really don't like about this movie. I always said, I did say I don't have a problem with the message it's trying to present. And it is a good message. However, I think it really ruins the ending. You see, Beach and Pubsy are able to understand and Muggle because they have empathy. And then they played prank on Twits to get them stuck upside down in their own home. And then and just when it feels like the feature's about to wrap up the two of them are unable to understand them because they lack the empathy because they played that prank on the Twits and then have to force themselves to free either Twits. Yeah. I'm sorry. Why did people think this was a great idea for an ending? One of Rolo's strengths that's right is that he makes sure his villains get at the most deserving and cruelest punishments and defeats possible. Well, and it did have an idea of an end that those state but where the Twits get stuck upside down in the home and get the strings, but also it really wants to force its message down the throat and has to force the kid is to get the Twits down because of a happy ending. I have no problem with the message itself, but I feel like they could have done it a lot better. Also, I really don't like the idea of the kids only being able to understand the Muggle once because they have empathy. I could have come up with anything like just have the monkeys that are just able to talk, or anyone can understand them. That seems a lot more better to more or reasonable to me. So yeah, I was okay with both things in this film, and most of the problems I wasn't really disliking, but the ending was something where I really hated it. So overall, The Twins is a pretty weird film, but also quite a disappointing film. There is definitely a lot of great things that the film has going for it. Like the personality of the Twits are enjoyable, it has some really good voice acting, the animation is highly creative. Tiff the songs are decent for how little they are, it has some great comedy and a sort of message, but I say it is really helped out with a lot of issues, like a story that doesn't feel confident in itself, black and characters, and a terrible ending. If you're a fan of the Roald Dahl book, I do recommend to watch this at least once to make your own opinion, but for anyone else, you're not going to miss much at all if you choose to skip this one. And you won't be getting acting the dreaded shrinks when you watch this movie, but your memory about it afterwards will definitely shrink. And that's why I'm giving the film a 5.5 out of 10. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!